Hello, wonderful people. This is Chapter 8, Section 8.9 on energy and how does all of life get energy? And I'm sure you recognize this title from biology class, photosynthesis. Yay! So there's a summary of photosynthesis. The use of light energy to convert water and carbon dioxide into oxygen and a high energy carbohydrate, glucose. And it's all about the glucose. Remember, to a plant, oxygen is a waste product. That's what they breathe out and they don't want. And so they take in water, carbon dioxide, use sunlight, and make glucose, which is a simple sugar used to make other sugars and other things. We'll talk about that more later. So let's just do a little reviewing of photosynthesis. Do you recognize this? There's a picture of the leaf. If you cut the leaf and you look at the thickness of the leaf, there's the next picture. And where's my little arrow? There's the hole for the air to come in and out. That's how they breathe. That's on the bottom of the leaf. And then these little cells are the cell that have a single cell of the plant, and inside the cells are the chloroplast cells, and inside those are the little discs that are stacked up, and that's where the photosynthesis happens. The photosynthesis equation, there's the words written in the top, and then underneath that is the equation with the molecules. CO2 is carbon dioxide and H2O is water, I'm sure you know. Then you take 6 of each of those and turn it into one sugar, C6H12O6. And then you have 6 oxygen gases, which just leak off into the air. And that process is described down here. There's the green leaf, water coming in, carbon dioxide coming in, sunlight shining down. Then you get the oxygen, which is given off into the air, and the sugar. And sugars can be built up into starches and other things. We'll talk more about that later. And here we go with another PowerPoint that I use in another science class where we talk more about what we do with that sugar, that glucose that the plants made. And this should be very familiar to our physics class. Energy is the ability to do work. Yes, it is. Where do you get the energy? Where do you get your energy from? We all know this, the food you eat. And there are 2 basic types of food we eat, plants and animals. Where do animals get their energy from? Animals get it from the foods they eat. Where do plants get their energy from? We just mentioned this. Photosynthesis, yay! So there's the same equation. There's the same picture that I used in the other slide. Don't tell my classes that I reuse slides from one class to another. Photosynthesis. And it makes glucose, which is a single molecule, and it has a lot of energy in it. Glucose is sometimes called a sugar, but here's the thing. Lots of different things are called sugars. So let's get some of that straight. There, that little blue circle represents a single glucose. That is what we call a monosaccharide. Mono means one. Saccharide is basically Latin for sugar. If you take 2 glucose and you stick them together, that's called a disaccharide. When you take the sugar at your table and you put it in your iced tea, that white crystal sugar, those are disaccharides. So when you think of what most people are used to thinking of as table sugar, that's actually 2 glucose stuck together. Then if you take a bunch of glucose and make a string, that's a polysaccharide. Poly means many. And now those 3 things, monosaccharide, disaccharide, and polysaccharide, these are all the 3 categories of carbohydrates. And carbohydrate is a word you probably hear around. Here's some other basics that I wanted to hit on. Organisms that can make glucose during photosynthesis are called producers. So producers make glucose from photosynthesis, and then whatever eats those producers, those are called consumers. Um, if you whatever eats plants, those are called first order consumers or primary consumers. Herbivore, I'm sure you recognize that word from biology class. That means an animal that eats plants to get their energy. A consumer who eats another consumer, well, that's a second order consumer or secondary consumer. Carnivores can be predators where they catch and kill their dinner, or scavengers where they eat something that's already dead, killed by somebody else. Second order. Here's another one. A consumer that eats a consumer that already ate a consumer. So that's 3 steps up. That's why we call it a third order consumer. A consumer that eats both producers and other consumers, that's an omnivore. And that's what we are, because we eat both plants and animals. Consumers that hunt and kill other consumers are called predators. And if they eat meat that's already dead, they're called scavengers. This is all about the food chain, and the reason we study the food chain is ultimately because it answers questions about energy. And energy, as we know from physics class, is basic to a lot of different things. So even the biologists, when they talk about the food chain, they're always talking about it in terms of energy. But I just thought you would find it interesting that you now can give a scientific definition for what energy is, which is more than you ever got in biology class. Okay, is there anything else? There's the energy pyramid. There's grass. The bunnies eat the grass. The snakes eat the bunnies. The eagle eats the snake. And there's fewer as you go up, usually about 10 to 1. Another way to look at the energy pyramid. Food webs, ultimately, they're all connected. And that's that.